board. I would like to call to order the Salem-Keizer area transportation study for Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. And let's go around the room and then we'll go on screen. I'll start with Desiree.
Desiree Collins, transportation team.
Steve Greenwich, SKATS transportation team. Mike Chaffee, SKAT staff. Ray Jarman, SKAT staff.
Kim Sapinar, SKAT staff.
Maria Nobles Pressy, Salem-Keizer School District.
Kathy Clark, Mayor of Keizer.
Roll call. Here. Well, the elevator made me late. Steve Horning, City Attorney.
Sarah Duncan, Salem Area Mass Transit Board.
Then on screen, Trevor,
Trevor Phillips, Counselor, City of Salem.
Lyle,
Lyle Motor, Polk County Commissioner.
Anna,
Anna Henson, ODOT.
Ashley.
Ashley Briers, FHWA.
All right, and then we have looks like a couple of guests, Counselor Duran.
Hello, Kyle Duran, Keizer City Council.
And Counselor Cross.
Hello, everyone. Counselor Cross, Keizer City Council.
All right, fantastic. Okay, first order of business is the approval of the policy committee minutes from April 23rd. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Moved by Maria, seconded by Trevor. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Okay, next up is public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the policy committee today? Okay, all right, then we will go ahead and move on to the Unified Planning Work Program. Mike.
Okay, so last month you saw a version of the UPWP with all the track changes in it. And I think the only discussion was a few items. So in your packet is a new version of the UPWP with all the track changes accepted. And there's a cover memo that went over the few items that was brought up last month. So there was some question about, did we capture everything from the transit district in the work program? And the short answer is yes, we have. We made a slight correction about the transit district's completed greenhouse gas inventories and retaining a consultant for the climate action plan. We updated the date for the Polk County TSP. We added the Marion County TSP update to our list of projects we are coordinating with. And like I said earlier, we confirmed with the transit district that their section was complete. So with that, this is the full UPWP document minus the 50 pages of appendices. There is a list at the very end that tell you what those appendices are. So it's right before the resolution to adopt. But there are appendices A to H that include everything from the cooperative agreement, US DOT certifying our planning program, preparing Title VI to Executive Order 12898 for environmental justice. It's our agreement with ODOT, a very long agreement about planning responsibilities, and then the description of the planning model and emphasis areas. So you're welcome to read all those appendices. They are all posted in a full document online as noted in the agenda packet. So with that, I think we've covered everything that we need to for the planning work program. We do need to get this hopefully approved today so we could send it to ODOT and we can get our planning agreement signed here in June because the work starts July 1st. So I asked that if there could be a motion to approve and adopt the planning work program.
All right, any questions or comments on the UPWP included in the packet? And thank you for going back over that with Chariots as requested. So it sounds like all of those were taken care of. Anything further? Motion to adopt the UPWP as presented. So I guess it's resolution
Madam
2412.
Chair, I'll move that we adopt the resolution 2412 or approve resolution. Oh, Scott.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Cameron, seconded by, was that Anna? Anna
Yes.
Hansen? Okay.
Yep.
To approve resolution 24-12. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We have an adopted plan. Let's go on to then item E, which is the SKATS Metropolitan Planning Area 2024 adjustments. Ray.
Okay, so in your lilac packet, number E, discussion of the metropolitan planning area revisions that are necessary. So as a reminder, every 10 years, the US Census Bureau does a census and it comes up with the urban areas defined on population and some other factors. And back in August, we talked to you and you approved a federal aid urban boundary, which was the first use of the new urban area. And the second one is the second use is for you defining the metropolitan planning area, the MPA. So the MPA, there are three areas that will, So the MPA defines where the MPO does planning and distributes federal funds. And while it may include the federal aid urban boundary within the MPA, it does not necessarily need to. So the MPA will include all of the urban area plus the areas that are anticipated to urbanize in the next 20 years, which in Oregon tends to be the UGBs and other areas as seen fit. So there are three areas that were defined by the Census Bureau to include in as part of the Salem urban area. That's land around Brooks. There's some area on I-5 south of Delaney Road to Rogers Creek, just right on I-5. And then of course the area going southeast from Salem to Almsville and then east to Gulf Club Road. And we presented four options to the TAC back in November and in April to consider. We had a good discussion, and the preference among the TAC was to limit the amount of rural land that is included in the revised MPA, which is shown on number 4. So very briefly, I'll go through the four proposals and then focus on the fourth one. So in your packet, it's map 3, starting on map 3, we have the SKATS area, the MPA, and you can see in pinkish salmon color, and it's about the same on the screen. That's the urban area. The bluish is the air quality boundary that we must include. And then the brown line is the proposed metropolitan planning area for each one. And so all of these include areas to the north around the NORPAC plant that became part of the urban area. And then down here in the south, the I-5 Delaney Road to Rogers Creek area. And then the difference between each of the MPA options is essentially these areas that are circled in blue in the packet. No, on the screen. No, in the packet as well. And so the first one, we're taking in the most amount of, land between Turner, Almsville and the Golf Club Road. And number two, we take in roughly the same amount of land, except we don't take in the area that's north of Mill Creek Road to Highway 22, just to the west of Golf Club Road and east of Almsville. Option three gets rid of does not take in the rural land that's between Turner and Almsville. And option four, which is a TAC recommendation, does not take in the land that's between Turner and Almsville again, and also does not take in this little bit of land, you can't really see very well, between Golf Club Road and eastern edge of Almsville,
Bless you.
north of south of 22. So, discussion and then hopeful approval or modification of any of these four. I've also included the FOB as it was adopted as the first two maps in your memo. That's for informational purposes to show you what happened. We can discuss that as well. So the TAC recommended. Yes, the TAC did make that recommendation, yes.
So I've got one quick question, and I know that commissioners ready to have a conversation about this area. Do you have some questions? Or,
Not really. I think we got it to where we need it.
okay,
Yeah, and the conversation at the TAC was based on input from Marion County staff and Almsville staff, so.
okay. All right, so you guys are good with that?
Yeah, but we had better ask the big city of Turner. I don't know what they think.
All right, Mayor?
Well, I looked at those maps and I barely could tell the difference. I mean, that was the hardest thing.
Right.
You're looking at, I mean, is it acres different or half an acre? I mean, it's not much different.
They're very small, except for 3 and 4, where we're excluding the large amount of land that's between Turner and Almsville. The other ones are.
Or urban.
Make it urban.
So we don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be urban, it would just be industrial. It will still be rural.
But eventually.
Well, that would be up to Marion County planning staff.
Collaboration with the two cities. Maybe some conversation. So, Turner's good? Okay. And you talked with, yes, Director Enos-Pressy.
Just for clarification, so those areas that are on option 4 that are not included, what that means is that they wouldn't be able to qualify for like some of the federal monies that we.
Essentially, they're outside the MPO, so the MPO can't provide funds. This county could add, for federal funds if there were a project in that area. The only major road down here is Mill Creek Road that connects Bronzeville and Turner.
Okay.
Is that a truck route?
I'm not sure on that side, or I know it's.
I don't think it's not, but it's in really good shape. Public Works just overlaid it.
I don't think it's designated.
It's like a freeway though. It's 55 miles an hour and it's really narrow.
Yeah,
Oh, that's delightful.
and I think all the gravel trucks that are going through Turner are not using Mill Creek. They're coming from the south.
Okay,
No, that's the topic of conversation is the truck roll into town and it drops to 25 and they don't necessarily. Same type of conversation.
So the gravel trucks are not using Mill Creek from the gravel pit?
The gravel pit is closed across the creek now.
Oh, it is. The one on Delaney there?
permanently or,
Permanently.
oh,
Shut it down.
that's a game changer. Wow. Okay, yeah.
They're going out to Jefferson, wherever that next one is to the south.
Oh, it is just played out. The gravel pit played out.
That's what I understand.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That, get your question? Yeah. Okay. So we're good on that one. I had the same issue with trying to make sure with the map. So the only thing being added to the North Brook Lake area is already all included. What's being added is the NORPAC property?
It's not even it's the old next to the NORPAC property. We already have some of the NORPAC. We have like the building, but not the cow field.
Yeah,
And so will bring in the cow field or the grassland or whatever.
okay. So, because there's that line over that kind of zigzags.
Right,
So what's being left out there? I mean, why is it going all the way to the freeway? That's my question.
Oh, let's try not to take any more than possible. We take in the interchange, so we have both sides, the full on-off ramps for Brook Lake interchange. And then it comes over a little bit to the east and takes in the NORPAC plant
Okay,
and fields around it. And then the census however they decided to include all that area. So,
huh. But the land north of Brook Lake Road on the west side is not, and that's highly industrialized.
correct. That was not identified as urban area by the Census Bureau.
Wow,
We'll figure.
no, I can't.
Well,
That,
there's no, somebody living there.
is that, what is this the definition? Because
The census.
Well,
it's businesses.
they look at population, they look at
Impervious.
impervious surfaces, they look at commutes. There might not be enough housing
There's
right
none.
there. But even if there's a lot of, it's like when you're going down 22 towards past Almsville, why did they give us Golf Club Road and the Ford dealer / RV dealer when there's not a lot of housing around there either, so. Where do we have the full Brook Lake Road? Like the north side of the road? Yeah, we're going down the middle. We take the far side. We don't take the middle of any road. We take the far side of that road.
So at least the whole road for Brook Lake's included, because as we're looking at the interchange,
Yes,
we've got to make sure that we can do the full improvement. But part of the problem that I'm seeing is that some of the interchange, just as long as the entire footprint is inside,
the entire footprint is inside
of the new design or the current?
of the preferred alternative that was part of the Brook Lake IMP.
Perfect. Okay,
Anyhow.
the IM, okay. No, I just want to make sure that project
Yeah,
is,
and we take in Brook Lake Road over to River Road.
okay,
So all that is, and then we've always had that, not always, we've had that since last time or whenever we first expanded the boundary up to there. So
okay,
this is not touching the interchange because we already had it.
right,
Where this is just putting in some grass.
gotcha.
Urban grass.
Urban grass.
Apparently, yes.
I-
Populated by cows occasionally, urban cows. Urban
Urban,
cows.
the urbanized cows.
Urbanized cows.
I'm putting that in my notes right now.
I mean, don't knock those urbanized cows. I grew up in an area of population 1,000, including dogs, pigs, and cows, okay?
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, here, knocking over cows is often a thing.
That's a myth.
Tipping.
You do not sleep standing up.
No, but it was really fun in the movie Cars.
That's my notes.
Yes. Just want to double check on that because that Brook Lake River Road intersection is really important for Keizer as well as the interchange itself.
And one of the benefits of this is we're also taking in the Laney at I-5 interchange as well this time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not cut that one down the middle anymore either. Okay, any other questions or comments on the adjustment? All right, then we need a motion to approve resolution 24-14 to adopt option 4 as the new SKATS Metropolitan Planning Area boundary.
I'll second.
Moved by Mayor Horning, seconded by Commissioner Cameron. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you. Let us go on to item F, which is amendment to the SKATS fiscal year 24-29 tip. Steve.
Okay, so there's a memo, or a resolution, and then a project amendment overview page all in the packet. And I'll pull up some slides. Okay, so yeah, so the request here is to adopt resolution 24-13, which is amendment to the tip, and it relates to well, there's sort of a larger context to this that I'll start with, but it's a local implementation of ongoing ADA ramp work that they're doing around the state. So just some kind of higher level background is that ODOT's by 2032, they're going to be replacing something like 27,000 sidewalk ramps around the state to bring them up to ADA compliance. And it's in accordance with the legal settlement that ODOT has with Disability Rights Oregon. We found some of the stats just about some of the progress that they've made so far. About 8,700 ramps have been replaced to date as of the end of 2023 in the annual reporting. And there's about 18,500 ramps that are remaining to be improved going forward. So locally, or not entirely locally, regionally, there is a key number 23029, which is the one this amendment relates to. And it's project work throughout Northwest Oregon. So it's, I think everywhere from Clatsop County down to Lane County, but includes Marion, Polk, Yamhill counties. And the request is to update the funding amounts. Well, it's to do a few different things. So the first is to add right-of-way, utility road relocation, and construction phases, bringing funds from key numbers 23044 and 23031. And those are both pools that were ODOT has programmed to the tip or to the STIP that simply state that it's funding for construction and right-of-way. And so the action is moving it from that larger pool into our regional project here. The other actions are reducing the preliminary engineering phase by $1.5 million, so that can be moved to work on curb ramp design as part of phase one. And then an update to the name and the description, because previously this project was design only, it didn't include the construction. So with this change, it will include construction, and then the overall increase is by about $115 million to implement the replacement or the addition of ramps, about 1,700 ramps throughout Northwest Oregon. On this last slide, I just wanted to pull out the location numbers that I had for Marion and Polk County. There's 396 as part of this project that will be replaced or added in Marion County and 247 in Polk County. But that's not the entirety of the project. My understanding is there will be other key numbers, I think a phase 3 and other construction that'll take place throughout the region as well. So this is one piece of it, one piece of what's happening in our area. So.
Good question.
Yeah.
And these are ramps that are on state facilities, correct? These
Yeah.
are not the local streets where we are also doing that. So City of Salem, City of Keizer, we're also doing ADA ramps, but that's with street funds. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. So it's intersections of state highways. So 2299 would, for the most part, within the SKATS area, and then others in the rural areas as well.
So Mission Street. That's Highway 22.
Yes, possibly. I don't know I didn't pull the I didn't request the list of what individual locations were a part of this key number, but that would be, that could fit into this project key number.
I'm looking at Julie, if there's an example of what these will do in this area versus the one City of Salem's doing. I know we're doing them because we have a group that we do each year.
I think I think they'll look the same. I mean,
Yeah.
they're gonna bring up their curb ramps to standards and we're working on ours as well, but I think they have a lot on commercial and streets going north and then also Mission.
Okay.
You may recall a couple of years ago when they repaved Wallace Road and did some of the things on Wallace Road, they upgraded all the curb ramps up and down Wallace Road, Highway 221.
Right.
Sarah?
This might be a silly question, but is there a reason why construction wasn't originally included?
It wasn't included just on this particular key number. So essentially ODOT's just requesting to move funding within the STIP. So it's between different key number entries and between phases, essentially.
So we knew that the construction was gonna happen, we're just moving into that phase at this point. Cool, thank you.
Moving into this particular project key number.
Hannah?
Really quick, just so you all know, at the next MWAX meeting, we're gonna have statewide ADA come to give us a presentation. And we can ask them questions. I know not everybody that comes to SKATS is involved in that, but you're welcome to come and listen in, or you can join by hybrid. Mission Street is our highway. And so there is actually an interactive map that shows our settlement ramps and our GIS layer online. So I think if you wanted to find out which one was considered a settlement ramp, you could access that. I could probably provide a link to that, and you could see which ones we plan on doing and which ones we're not doing. So that's how much I know about this. Some of you may or may not know it's a separate program away from like Region 2 project delivery. The ADA program has their own tech center and their own project managers and their own area manager. Anyway, when we have our ACT meeting, we'll get a good update on where they're at. Sorry, I didn't mean to add that information, but it might be something to look forward to. I don't know.
Awesome.
That's next Thursday, the 6th.
Yeah.
Presentation.
Yeah, June 6th, starting at 3:30. Lyle?
Yeah, Anna, we've seen the budget that ODOT's presenting going forward for next year with the 270 for maintenance. Do you know if this ADA program is included in that budget, or is it separate?
I'm not following your question, so let's try again.
In ODOT's budget for next year, they're showing so much for maintenance.
Oh, yeah, yep.
So is this ADA contract that we're doing all of these involved in that budget? It's separate.
No, yeah, it's separate. They have a bond. That's why they got this money for the construction. So yeah, it's completely separate.
Excellent. Okay, that's what I was curious. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's good info. Thank you. Trevor?
Yeah, I don't know that I have a question, but I'm just kind of looking to remind myself of some of the maybe potential sources of funding, like through the IIJA, the bipartisan infrastructure bill that passed. I think Oregon got about $400 million, the state of Oregon. And then it was referenced that there's an agreement between the disability in Oregon that was done legally that I think took about 100 million of that $400 million. Is any of this dollar amounts or funding come through that? Like or is this separate from the IIJA funding?
That's a really good question. I can try to shoot a message while we're on right now, and then I'll put something in the chat. I don't know the answer to that, Councilor Phillips, sorry.
Okay.
That's a really good question.
I mean, I think I'm still prepared to support this. I mean, this seems to make sense, just accounting for where the dollars are going.
Right, and moving us toward the construction phase, which is keeping us on track, well, closer on track with compliance with the ADA settlement. Okay, any other questions? And we'll get back with that information. Anything else on this? Trevor, you okay moving forward with going ahead, adopting the resolution? Well, and I guess they answered that question.
Yeah, in fact, I'm prepared to make the motion to adopt or approve resolution 2413. Do I need to say more, or is that sufficient for staff?
That'll do it.
I'll second.
So moved by Trevor Phillips, seconded by Sarah Duncan to adopt resolution R 24-13. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That takes us then to item G, which is about the OMPOC meeting, which happened on May 24th, and the Joint Transportation Committee schedule that's coming up. And it's their roadshow. So let me get my notes up here. There it is. Mike?
Well, I have my notes too, but let me just go over what's in the packet specifically. So what we included was the OMPOC agenda, just to give you an idea of what was being discussed. And there was a lot of talking about ODOT transportation needs. ODOT's making the rounds at ACTS and the Joint Committee and the Oregon Transportation Commission talking about the funding issues, the dire need for funds because the state gas tax levels are insufficient. And at the same time, they're trying to shore up some major projects in the Portland area, specifically I-205 and the Rose Quarter. And there was a lot of discussion at the May 9th Oregon Transportation Commission about these issues and trying to find options for the commission to look at to try to complete those two projects. There are a lot of questions, discussion. The bottom line is that staff presented some options that would provide either 300 million or up to 550 million for plugging those holes for those two projects. But there's a cost to that. There is some good news for the I-5 Rose Quarter. Oregon did get a 450 million grant, the Reconnecting Communities grant. And then they have been given encouragement to apply for a $750 million infrastructure grant. That's all part of IIJA. These are the highly competitive grants. So they've got one. They've got another one that they've been encouraged to apply for, except that $750 million grant requires a match, and they need to come up with 250 million. So they need 250 for that. They need more money for I-205, and that's why the total request to the OTC is we need to come up with like $500 million. So the OTC received that information, and the options were come up with that money. Do they cut back a lot of things that are in the 24-27 STIP? And that's a lot of projects, including some projects that affect everything statewide, including some projects here in our area. Or do they ask the legislature to get some bonds for that $500 million plus? Or is it some kind of hybrid? So some very big discussions are happening right now at the Transportation Commission, filling those big holes, but also the problem with the state gas tax and how ODOT's really having to squeeze every penny they can for maintenance and operations funding, which is funded by the state gas tax. So ODOT at their level is trying to do many things at the same time. There's also the interstate bridge that they want to move on at some point, so a lot of discussion about, what's the way forward? And they didn't make any firm decisions at the OTC about those two big projects, except to encourage staff that they do want to go for that $750 million infra grant that they are fairly sure they're going to get. And as some members of the OTC says, if we get that grant, we'll find the money. We'll find the matching money. We just haven't figured out where it will come from, whether it will come from cuts or bonds. And that's a whole discussion with the legislature if it's bonds. So a lot of things are happening statewide as trying to address these funding shortfalls and also these big projects they want to complete. So locally, this is not part of your packet, but I know I gave it to the chair and the vice chair to look at before our OMPOC meeting. And there's a long list of projects that is the universe of projects that could be cut. It's not the list of projects to be cut. It's like out of these universe of projects, here are the kind of things we can cut. And it's everything from bridge projects to, let's see if I can do this here. Oh, hang on. Big packet here of possible projects, but a lot of it is bridge projects, a lot of it is fix-it projects, enhanced projects. So this is all being considered, and nothing has been decided on, but the commission is now ruminating about these options. Like staff's going to come back in June and August to get more direction from the commission. In region 2 here, there are a few projects, and the one I guess I'm most interested in is to see if they're going to make any cuts to the Civic Street seismic. It's on the list, but I'm hoping that, given that that was a House Bill 2017 project, that it'll be spared, but can't be certain of anything right now. So. And why that's all relevant and maybe something for this committee to discuss is because the Joint Commission on Transportation legislature is doing a roadshow, and that they're touring the state, starting in Portland. And this is in your packet, that roadshow. The second thing that's in the packet.
That's the brightly colored schedule on the back page of the green attachment, so it's got the nice colors there.
So there are the closest meeting is the Albany meeting, which is July 16th. There is since I've seen this one, there is a virtual Salem meeting.
September.
Late September, yeah.
Late September, yeah. So there may be reasons for this policy committee to have some discussions about sending someone to the Albany meeting, or more than one person. I know Commissioner Morthorst and I were talking about this Friday, and I see his hand up, so I'm just gonna pass it on to him to fill us in on what he's going to be doing at the Albany meeting.
Well, I mean, we're mainly listening and trying to get information, but do they have a start time on this? This is going to be an all-day meeting, evening? Does anybody heard anything on that?
I don't know. I don't know if Anna knows anything.
Let me look through my emails. I don't think they've given us that much detail yet, but I will check and share it. I will just share with this group that the Yamhill Parkway Committee, for those of you that know that group, who are huge advocates for the Newburgh-Dundee bypass, are upset that they're not doing a Salem face-to-face meeting. And so they're pushing hard for one. So I don't know if that's something that'll change. We might I don't know. I'm not sure why they're skipping over Salem, to be honest. I think they probably feel like they know what our issues are here. But I don't know that. That's speculation. So anyway, but I will happy to share that information as it comes to light. I think no one's really sure how this is gonna work. So.
And I would totally support them on getting a Salem meeting together.
Here.
Then I suggest you reach out to the Joint
Chair.
Commission on Transportation and ask them to come to Salem.
Okay.
Thank you, Anna.
Would it help if we sent a letter from us?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of support in this room. I'm seeing a lot of head nods to support having the Salem meeting being in person, face to face. We know what assumptions are, and that's not a great place for them to be, even that late in the game. So
We direct staff to write a letter, chair sign it.
yeah. Any objection to sending a letter to the OTC to make the Salem meeting in September in person? All right.
I guess I do have a question.
Yes.
I'm in support of having it in person. Would it still be supported with a hybrid capability?
I think they're all hybrid.
Okay.
I don't have the details about many of the other meetings.
We build that into the request then.
Sure.
I don't know that. I
Don't
think
know.
Susan.
I think it depends on where they're holding it. Like
Okay.
originally when they talked about holding one in this area, we were talking about Polk County Fairgrounds. Sorry, Lyle, I know we talked about this offline. Or the state fairgrounds if they were expecting a big group. So I have no idea if they think they're doing adding a virtual option for folks, but I'll see if I can find that out.
Yeah, maybe Anna and I can coordinate on some of this so that we're not working in cross purposes and we can draft a letter.
Yeah.
With the right information, because it sounded like they were gonna do a virtual meeting in Salem that's planned now. So at least one virtual meeting, but sounds like this group would like a face-to-face meeting.
They probably bypass Salem because they meet in Salem all the time. It's a joint committee, so that's probably what they were thinking.
Yeah. I think that's some of it. I also think where they meet is not conducive to crowd. So maybe that's part of it. I want to see they're meeting at the Capitol, but maybe with all the construction going on down there that there's just not room. I don't know. Again, speculation, but that's my guess.
Well, we can talk to Keizer, we got space, but I think that, and we can also do hybrid. But I think that we have the same problem with the OTC, for years and years meeting in Salem and not talking to the Willamette Valley jurisdictions. So being here is not the same as talking to people.
Right.
So I would absolutely agree with this if we can encourage them. However, sounds like Commissioner Mordhorst, I'm planning to be at the Albany meeting as well. And I really want to hear from all of you. I've got a pretty good idea that dropping the Center Street Bridge project is one that would not be terribly popular with the Salem-Keizer area and Marion Polk. That sucker comes down, it's going to be water for the city of Salem, and it's the last lifeline of transportation between the two counties after
No.
Cascadia.
We got 2 ferries.
Oh, that's right.
And we got generators for them now.
Yeah,
That was the handheld though.
Chair,
Oh, does go Polk? Okay. Just check.
Bridge.
please continue to support the Center Street project. Yeah, that's so vital.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm thinking of your water supply.
Yeah, West Salem gets nearly all of its water from the bridge. So protecting the water and that route across the river is so important.
It's important to all of our cities along here, especially for medical care. We've got business and industry. We've got emergency services crossing back and forth, and we have to have a place. That was one of the big arguments with the Union Street Railroad Bridge, making sure that an emergency vehicle could go across it, pulling out the pylons for exactly that purpose. Of course, in Cascadia, that's coming down. But in the meantime, it works.
Commissioner Cameron, or I'm not sure, I should ask Sarah too. Can we also use the Senator room if, for whatever reason, we can use?
So, if, as long as it's available, whatever date we did, check with our
Yeah.
office.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I want to have a couple options in case the dates don't work out.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a Salem Library, right?
Our
Uh,
Kaiser
our-
chambers are bigger.
Yeah, Chamber, Kaiser's Civic Center.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. I just want to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
another
I'm sure we
option.
can come up with
It'd
location.
be best not to host it in the Capitol, I agree with Anna.
Yeah.
Even Public Works has a big space that we use, so.
Yep.
So we can make it work.
We are more than willing to help make this happen. We'll even buy the coffee. But to get people face to face is super important, but I think in the meantime, we need to, as many of us that can, get to the Albany meeting. Like Commissioner Mordhor said, to listen to what's happening with the region, but also be really cognizant of the impact it's going to have on the Mid-Willamette Valley and our local economy. What it's going to do to that. That said, it's also, we've had tons of conversation about the three projects, particularly I-205, Rose Quarter, and the Interstate Bridge. And yes, they're all in the Portland area, but I would be hard pressed to find a business sector that is not impacted by the operability of those two corridors, the I-5 and I-205. We hear it all the time from all of our ag industry, industrial. They have to work. That those corridors have to function.
The chair, I would say, I mentioned all those big projects because it's a big issue right now with the Transportation Commission. And remember, we're talking about the tour of the Joint Committee, which is obviously different. And in their document, this announcement of this tour, on the page 2, this is what they are focusing on. They want discussion about needs assessments by ODOT, policy solutions. So I think a lot of those are going to be like, how do we supplement the state gas tax? What do we need to do to diversify the kind of revenue that's coming in as revenue has shrunk over the years? So I think they are focusing on those issues they can change legislatively. But those other projects are important too. So I'm not saying you shouldn't talk about that. You probably should. But I'm just referencing what they are focusing their discussion on, about needs assessment and policy solutions. But obviously people are free to say whatever they want when they have a public meeting, right? So.
And
They mentioned,
okay, and I think has an answer
Well,
or comment.
what I've heard is really the focus of this listening session is to hear about the maintenance and operation needs, right? That's, as we go into the 25 legislative session, that's our number one focus, is how do we keep what we've built to date maintained? And we've been told is there's not going to be a focus on specific projects, but I know my area, you guys, I know that's not going to happen, that people are going to bring up specific projects. And I just don't know how the committee is going to handle that. Because really the biggest lift is getting funding, secured funding for operation and maintenance in this 25 legislative session coming up. That is the number one priority. And we are getting that pounded into our heads, which is hard when we have projects, large projects that need funding. So anyway, that's just what I have heard.
Well,
I'm gonna go
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Cameron, then I'll go to Councilor Phillip.
Madam Chair, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times funding is mentioned in the purpose. So we know what this is about. It isn't about the detailed projects. How are we going to support the system? So that's what they're doing, is just trying to build a case for future funding, which we all know we need.
Councilor Phillips?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of talking about this topic at hand, in terms of like the decreasing funds available through a gas tax. I mean, I don't like personally in my just speaking for myself, I would be in favor of finding a way to assess people on vehicle miles traveled. I say that as primarily getting around in an electric vehicle. I know that there's like a nominal fee that comes with owning that vehicle in the state of Oregon, but I don't think it's sufficient to make up for the increased gas mileage that vehicles have, and the adoption of more and more electric vehicles. And it seems like the data is that that's a large driver of this problem of insufficient gas tax revenue. So I don't know like how beyond, I mean, that's my personal thought is we'll probably have to get something that gets the vehicle miles traveled because there's still wear and tear on the roads. But I don't know if that's something that, is that what we're talking about? Is this the time to talk about that, or is this not the time to talk about that? Or are there other, potential things that we could support that would help us, make these budgets whole?
Chair, if I might just address Councilor Phillips really quick. I think that is what this is about. That's part of it. The reason Rose Quarter and our 205 project are short on funding is because they were relying on tolling, and tolling has been squashed right now. And we've kicked the tolling program for IBR, Interstate Bridge Project, over to Washington, and Washington's going to administer the tolling program for that bridge. And so I think exactly that's one of the things that's going to be talked about as a solution. And there's a lot of controversy around the road user mileage tax, I think that's what it's called. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. So thank you.
Mike, and now I'll go to Commissioner Mordhorst.
Yeah, at the OMPOC meeting, there was a nice kind of graphic showing the three current major funding sources are gas tax, registration fees, and the weight mile tax. And then this Oregon Go, which is a VMT tax that they have a pilot program, has only kind of really not that many people registered for it so far. But it's not mandated, right? It's still voluntary. So as Anna said, they're looking to expand and diversify the kinds of revenue. It might be that Oregon Go becomes more mandated. It might be increases to the gas tax, increases to registration fees. It may be tolling, and I forget some of the other thoughts they had. Maybe I could send something out from ODOT, but Commissioner Cameron says the focus of the joint committee is on funding options, how much do we need to raise, by what mechanisms do we need to raise it?
Right. Commissioner Mordhorst.
Yeah, I would just like to, on the tolling, I've been asking a lot of people to stand on tolling, and tolling for roads that are currently constructed. That's what everybody's really against, but tolling for something new construction, I think a lot of more people are open to that, like the new I-5 bridge. So many new bridges today all across the nation have tolls to help pay for the cost of that bridge. And I don't think anybody's got issues there. At least most people don't that I've been speaking to. So I just want to lay that out there so everybody can kind of think about that. Tolling our current roads that we've already paid for doesn't make sense. We've already paid for them. General maintenance should be within the budget that we get with our taxes currently. So, thank you.
Chair, I have a few notes from LOC's Jim McCauley I could talk about. So he came to our OMPOC meeting. They're going to put together their policy for 2025 transportation package. He wanted to stress that it's not just an ODOT package. They want to look at it's a package for all levels of government, counties and cities as well. He also said it's not advocating for shiny new projects or whatever. It's really looking at operation and maintenance funds, safety funds, that sort of thing. And his position paper that he kind of described verbally is that they want to broad range of revenue sources. Indexing the gas tax instead of just adding a few cents or 6 cents over 3 years, indexing going forward, so you don't have to revisit this time and again. Help municipalities support local gas taxes and having consistent messaging between MPOs and LOC and AOL. Is it AOL? LOC. I had AOL, my mistake here. Yeah. Whenever that comes out, maybe we can share that. And I know you were involved in the LOC chair.
Right.
So.
Yeah, the League of Oregon Cities, the Transportation Policy Committee has wrapped up their work. They made 3+1 recommendations that will go out to all of the League of Oregon Cities members for the top priorities for LOC lobbying staff to work on in the 25 session. That said, all of the ones that were adopted will be moving forward. And number one, by far and away, is operations and maintenance for our transportation infrastructure, recognizing that cities and counties, as well as the state, the cost of maintaining our infrastructure far outstrips the revenue streams we currently have, because they were not indexed, but construction was. It goes right up every single day. So I think that is a major thing. Also, protecting the 50-30-20 split. The cities and counties need to have those dollars come in for our operations and maintenance. And we need to make sure that we are getting on the city level the dollars coming in so we can maintain our part of the infrastructure. We don't have additional resources. Some cities do have gas taxes. Some of them have road bonds or levies or fees that they have put on there for their transportation infrastructure, but not all of them do. And that 50-30-20 is really important for getting the dollars to all the jurisdictions. So we're going to be very clear about that as cities. I can't speak for counties, but I know that LOC and AOC are working together with communicating on this issue. Anything else on this?
I'm gonna have a lot of notes about the OMPOC meeting, but I think we have some other things to talk, and I know people had it hard out.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a really constructive meeting. Always great to hear from our colleagues across the state about what they're doing, the issues that they're facing. And one of the purposes of OMPOC was to find our common ground way back in 06, 07 when OMPOC began. And has really helped build understanding across the state with all of the MPOs. So it's always good to hear what's happening in other jurisdictions. And then also we were able to tour downtown Eugene and the work they're doing on improvements for all modes moving through that area. So they have some really cool projects that they are doing locally. And then that's okay, that takes care of that. Anything else on OMPOC? Let's go to item H then, the tip modifications. Steve?
Moment, but the listing of the recent modifications since the April policy committee meeting. The first 3 were reviewed and approved by this group at the policy committee at that April meeting. And then there were items 4 through 7 were staff level amendments that were made in the last month. I think the only one that I'll highlight is number 5, because as part of the South Salem multimodal transit facility, which is going to be the new transit center in South Salem, Chariots. Maybe we mentioned this at a previous meeting, but received a congressionally designated spending grant of $500,000 in federal funds for that. So that's being added to the
Sweet.
Unless there's any other questions about these, this is just our monthly check-in about changes to the DIP.
Any questions on any of the tip modifications? I always like that we're here getting more of the federal dollars coming this way. Okay. Flip my page here. Informational items, just to bring everybody up to date. City of Salem will be appointing, it looks like Mickey Barney will be the alternate to SKATS. And definitely want to thank Virginia Stapleton, Councilor Stapleton, for her work being the alternate for Councilor Phillips. The transportation planning update is in your packet. Anybody have any questions on these three? The SKATS Metropolitan Transportation and Safety Action Plan, that's really exciting. That one's moving forward. Mike, we have something that's coming up pretty soon, right? The open house? Yeah.
Yeah, so we're drafting the plan. There'll be some iterations and drafts will go out to the project management team and the steering committee before it goes out to a public open house in August. So me and my staff are working furiously to draft it with the consultant, make it as good as we can. You notice the travel study, the third phase of recruiting and getting surveys is happening. And Safe Routes to School update is we're finishing the safety classes at our third elementary school. This one is at Morningside Elementary School. Beth was just in my office this morning saying that there's a bunch of kids that had never ridden bikes before, and she was saying how excited they are to learn how to ride bikes. So it's always fun to hear those stories. We had our first bicycle bus from Chemeketa College to Stephen Middle School. We had about 20, 25 people join us in this bicycle bus. And another thing Beth told me was that she's been coordinating with 2 of the local bike shops that will give discounts to students who complete the 3 weeks of training. They bring their certificate in, they get a discount on a bike. I don't know all the details, but it's good to hear. So we're trying to do more with the bike shops.
Yeah, that bicycle bus, I did the walking school bus with Beth and her crew and Keizer Police, walking school bus from Clyde Creek Park to to Kennedy Elementary very recently. And that was very, very well attended. And of course, Coda, our canine comfort dog, came along for the ride, the walk as well. So got a lot of pets and loves.
Someone else was there on the bike bus.
Yes, I got to participate on the bike bus, and so did our COG chair, Ian Davidson. It was really fun to get to ride the bike from Chemeketa to Stevens, and it was also really fun to get to see the students and the teacher that coordinated it. She was just like so excited. The kids that participated, how many did we have? Like maybe like I think 10?
A bunch showed up at the end. So
Yeah.
I don't know the full count.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of like jumped in as we were going by, kind of the way, a way that folks would hope that a bike bus would go is, you know, you can just like stop at certain areas and people join in, and then we're a bigger little bunch of people. It was nice.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for inviting me.
Very cool. So watch for that open house on the safety action plan. Really, well, I say thank you to all of the local volunteers. One who is on this call, that's Tammy Kunz, who represented Keizer. We're really involved in this from a community-wide standpoint, so really cool. The OTC meeting, as we've been talking about, will be June 13th here in Salem. Our policy meeting will be June 25th, and the next TAC meeting is June 11th. Anything else for our calendars or for discussion today? Yes.
The regional scenario planning
Oh, yes.
kickoff open house is tomorrow from 4 to 6 at the Senator hearing room at the Square.
Yeah, this is gonna be a really good first look at, we've only had one meeting of the committee. But they put together some materials to get community input. So definitely spread the word, get people down there for that. Thank you.
And there's a
Julie.
survey available online as well.
4 tomorrow, right?
4 o'clock tomorrow, from
Okay.
4 till 6.
4 to 6. And then I need to find that link again, and send it out in my social media. I know it's online, but I forgot. So I'll have to go find it. All right, thank you very much. I believe that's all we have today. The time is 1:06 and we are adjourned.
Thank you.